Today's daily number, 75. That's the age that Congress wants to propose when new retirees or retirees start to draw down on their retirement saving funds from a traditional IRA or a 401k. So on today's show, we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of that and how that's going to impact Americans as they get into retirement. Good evening, everybody. This is Kamari Ellis. Welcome to the Finance Rebel Show. This is our daily number segment. And in the daily number segment, we talk about the facts, we talk about the news, and we talk about money, right? Every day at 8 p.m. All right. So today we're going to talk about a couple things. Like I said, we're going to talk about Congress's new bill that they just passed that is just going to the Senate. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. But as always, we will talk about the stock market rundown. And of course, we will do our affirmation of the day. All right. So I hope everybody's feeling good, feeling well. It was a good day today for me. Busy day. I know I'm a little delayed, but I am here. So let's jump into this real quick as we talk about these markets today. I wondered, have y'all been paying attention to the markets? Have y'all been paying attention to those correlations that I've been talking about? All right. But S&P 500 today closed at 4,530. Again, 4,530 points. The S&P 500 is the 500 largest companies in the United States that are publicly traded. All right. So right now, the S&P 500 is still down year to date. What are we looking at? About 4.9. Actually, let's round it up. 5%. S&P 500 is still down 5% year to date. So, but we're seeing some things, right? Yesterday we had a good day. Today we had a sell-off. A lot of this stuff is tied to Russia and Ukraine. Good news out of Ukraine for now is that Russia's starting to pull back and Ukraine's starting to advance. And it's really interesting that Russian forces haven't been able to, I guess, capture Ukraine in the way that they expected. Maybe they were a little overzealous, but it's starting to give some hope to the market. It's starting to give some life to the market. So if this continues on, I think things are going to be a little bit better. And before, as I get into the rest of the market rundown, I want to know, did any of y'all notice that the United States is inking a deal with the EU to supply them with LNG or liquefied natural gas, right? For the most part, the EU, European Union gets their energy supplies from Russia. And now with all these sanctions that are going on in Russia, things are a little bit crazy. Can't export or import from Russia. And so the United States said, hey, we are going to start shipping you LNG. So again, it's liquefied. It can be transported via ship. A lot of times there's a lot of ports for it down in the South, especially in the Gulf. And so I think this is a strategic play by the United States to get further advancement on their side of things to take advantage of the situation. So I expect to see more of that going forward. All right. Oil, though. Oil closed at $144, right? So again, coming away down from that $130 per barrel level. Yesterday was what, 107, I want to say. Today it's $104. So hopefully we can start to see a little bit of relief at the pumps. Now, Joe Biden did state that he is going to start releasing roughly a million barrels of oil a day out of the strategic reserve. I don't think that's a great idea, but that's what he's trying to do. That's what he's saying he wants to do in order to give a little relief to people who are getting crunched by gas and oil prices, or getting crunched by it's definitely not improved, higher oil and gas prices. So I don't think that's a great move, because strategic oil is supposed to be there for acts of God, right? Tornadoes, war, any catastrophes. When you draw down that reserve, it leaves folks a little bit stranded, a little bit in a precarious position. So we'll see how long that lasts. All right, gold today closed at $1,940, 1944 per troy ounce, 1944 per troy ounce. Again, we're seeing that gold level. It's way down from that $2,000 level. People are starting to ease up. I'll be really interested to see it break below 1,800, but we will see what's going to happen from here. And Bitcoin, 45,634 bucks per coin. Yesterday was 47,000. So today it's a little bit lower. It's a little bit lower. And again, we talked about those correlations. We're seeing Bitcoin move up when the stock market moves up, or we're seeing the stock market move up when Bitcoin moves up, and we're seeing the stock market move down when Bitcoin moves down. So keep an eye out on that. Keep an eye out on that. That's going to be very, very interesting as we go forward. Now, again, as we talk about our main topic, our main story of the day, right? We're going to talk about the new upcoming retirement plan changes for 401ks and IRAs. All right. So we definitely have to keep that going. I forgot to put on some of my equipment here, so bear with me for a minute. I feel a little naked. Tax season is actually driving me crazy, so that's why I'm a little delayed with some things. But Congress has been making some changes, or has been proposing some changes as it revolves around retirement plans. I find them interesting, but let's break through some of the facts. Let's go through some of the facts, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it as we get further along in the program today. Let's see here. So, all right, so the Wall Street Journal reports the 401k savings plan got a boost in a bipartisan retirement bill. So anytime they say bipartisan, it means both Democrats and Republicans are working together on this. Oddly, right? But it happens. And it seems like this will probably give way to what's going on, or give way to a vote in the Senate as well. All right, so workers can save more and delay withdrawals under measure passed by House. Okay, so this one's kind of interesting. Basically, Congress is starting to increase the age where people that are in retirement have to take mandatory withdrawals from their retirement accounts. Now, many of you might not know this, right? Because I know some of y'all young, y'all spry, y'all not thinking about retirement at all. But when you get to a certain age, after you save money into your 401k and put money into your IRAs, the man wants his money. The IRS wants his money. So what's a traditional IRA? What's a 401k, right? Normally, you can put the money in tax deferred or tax advantaged, right? You get a little bit of tax break up front when you put money in. Money goes in tax-free, grows tax-free. But when you go to pull the money out of a traditional IRA, typically, or a 401k, when you go to spend it, when you go to put it into your, let's say, regular savings account, you then have to pay tax on it, right? The bills due. They don't want a free ride. Now, I know a lot of people are skeptical about 401ks. I know a lot of people are worried about 401ks. I think 401ks are one of the greatest financial tools ever created. But let's be clear, why did 401ks take off so much? 401ks took off so much because pension plans, right? You went to work for 50 years for a factory or a big company. You went to work for 50 years. The company would take care of you. You got your gold watch, and you got a paycheck for the rest of your life. Now, we know that's not normally what happens. What normally happens is typically you work your 30, 40, 50 years, and within 5 years of your retirement, you tend to die. That's what the stats say. All right. But people are now living longer. So retirement plans have gotten that much more expensive for companies to maintain. And so as companies phased out these pension plans because they couldn't afford them anymore, what happened? The rise of the 401k plan kind of to take hold as the premier way to save for retirement, where some employers, a lot of employers will give a match, will give money to their employees as an incentive to invest for their retirement. All right, just to give you kind of that backstory, because again, a lot of people aren't really understanding of the history and how we got where we are now. But oddly enough, there's still a lot of people who have gripes, who are mad, don't like it, have problems with it. All right. But Congress is trying to do something about it. So, in this report, right, again, they're raising the age. That's one of the main things here. They're raising the age where you have to pull your money out. Because again, at some point, you got to pay Caesar. Caesar is due, is made to be paid at some point. Got to put taxes back in the system because, you know, a lot of times people put money into their 401ks for, let's say, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. That money is untaxed. It's not being used in the system. It's being saved. Only people that are actually making money off of that is obviously the investor, right? The potential retiree, and also those folks on Wall Street. So the folks on Wall Street, the investment banks, the institutional money managers, they tend to get paid fees on these retirement plans. It's just part of the game. Just part of the game. All right. And so as we go forward and we look at this a little bit more, I want to go through and explain what Congress is planning on doing and why they plan on doing this. And again, who will benefit and who may not benefit from it. All right. So here, the bipartisan measure, which some are referring to as Secure Act 2.0, will build on retirement policy changes enacted in 2019. That, among other things, raised the age people were required to start withdrawing money from retirement accounts to 72 from 70 and a half. So right now at 70 and a half, when you hit 70 and a half, I don't know why the government has a thing for these halves, but when you hit 70 and a half, you have to start pulling money out of these accounts. And if you don't pull money out of these accounts, you get taxed. Bet y'all didn't know that. So if you don't pull the money out of your account, you have to pay a penalty. So, all right, I wanted to go into this a little bit deeper. If passed by the Senate and signed into law, the bill would raise the age again over the next decade to 75, a change that would also boost the bottom line of the financial services industry, which typically earns fees based on the size of its retirement accounts, right? So again, one of the big benefits, right? One of the big players here, one of those who's going to really benefit from this is Wall Street. So keep that in mind, y'all. Senators are likely to consider changes to the House bill, and they add that, and then add it to the larger piece of legislation later this year. Excuse me. Now, that's kind of the meat of it. There's a couple other points that I wanted to go over here that I have highlighted as I read earlier. The legislation will gradually increase the age, right? So it's not jumping to 75, right? It's not getting to 75 until 2033. But all right, the legislation will gradually increase the age at which savers must start taking withdrawals from 401k type accounts and traditional individual retirement accounts to 73. Right now, 70 and a half. They're going to 73. All right, next year, rising to 74 in 2030 and 75 in 2033. All right, currently people who save money in these accounts must begin withdrawing money and paying any taxes due on it at 72. These required withdrawals can be a source of frustration for taxpayers who are still working or are trying to make their savings last in retirement. Think about that, right? You want your savings to last in retirement because if you think about it, right, when you take money out, right, you are basically killing your account because you're taking the power away from the account, because the more money you have in the account, the more money you can make. The less money you have in the account, the less money you can make. So it gets a little conflated a little bit, right? But again, there's all kinds of these political interests that are coming into play with this, but people are living longer. So this is part of the reason why they're doing this. People are indeed living longer. They're not dying 5 years after they retired anymore. So they're trying to create measures and systems so that people are able to have some money when they're retiring and not be totally dependent on Social Security. All right. So let's go back to this piece here. So while the law, if enacted, will help people who can afford to leave their money untouched, it could expose them to higher tax bills in future years, right? Because the money begins to grow larger, the pot of money gets bigger, and so when they decide to pull it out, the checks could be bigger as well. When required distributions kick in, they will be withdrawing more money annually over a smaller time period, said Ed Slott, an IRA specialist. Now, I highlighted this piece in red because I thought this was really interesting. The increase in age for required withdrawals sounds better than it is, he said. This is Ed Slott. About 80% of people subjected to mandatory retirement account distributions withdraw more than the requirement minimum because they need the money. So what he's saying is most people need the money when they go into retirement anyway, whether you push back the time when they're around the 70, 72, 73, 74, 75 age. Only those who are super duper well off are the ones who don't need to take the money, who are the ones who are secure enough financially that don't need to take the money. So this, he's basically saying, if you can read between the lines, he's basically saying that this is only going to help rich people get richer, or let's say well-to-do middle-class folks. So I do think there are some good points here, though. All right. The bill would allow older workers to make bigger contributions. People 50, right? People 50 and older can contribute an extra $6,500 a year to a 401k style retirement plan for a total of $27,000. That's right now. That's happening right now. If you are 50 or older, you have what's called a catch-up provision. All right. The legislation would raise that to $10,000 a year starting in 2024 for people ages 62, 63, 64. The bill will require catch-up contributions to be made after taxes under legislation starting in 2024. The extra $1,000 people 50 and older can contribute annually to an IRA would raise the account for inflation. All right, so that's a good thing, right? Because we know there's a lot of late bloomers. There's a lot of late bloomers who got started late in life in terms of retiring for whatever reason, right? They were raising a family. They went to school late. You know, someone like me, they had family illnesses or family issues that they had to tend to. They might have to take care of a sick or ailing parent, things like that. So people get started late in life for various reasons. So that catch-up provision is a good thing. And like, so people can be able to get more prepared for retirement. Because here's the thing. Some people are like, I know, again, for all you young spry whippersnappers out there, you're like, I'm never retiring. I'm one of those, by the way. But here's the thing. Your body at some point is going to be like, I ain't young and spry no more. I just want to go sit down and relax. Now, you still may do some things in a limited capacity, but you want to get to the point where you have enough money where you don't have to work. And if you do work, you're working because you love it, you're inspired by it, you're passionate from it. It's a choice. So this is really what this really ties into a lot of this. All right, so there's a couple more pieces that I thought were really good here that I wanted you all to know about. All right, another part says, it would also permit employees starting in 2023 to make matching contributions to 401k style accounts of employees paying off student loans who don't contribute enough to 401k plans to receive a full match. So they're saying here in this program that they are going to allow employees to put money aside to help pay for pre-tax, put money aside pre-tax to help people pay for their student loans. I think that's a good thing. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that's a good thing? Comment below. Tell me what you think. So, you know, again, a lot of these things are really, really interesting. Can be utilized if you have the wherewithal and the financial knowledge and the financial stockpile to utilize it and use it. Now there's this last point that I thought was good. All right, the bill will require Labor Department to create an online database through which individuals can search for lost retirement accounts. As Americans change jobs, they are leaving more 401k style accounts and pension benefits with former employers. Some lose track of their accounts. Now, I know I deal with this myself firsthand. I call them orphan accounts, orphan 401k accounts, orphan IRA accounts. They just been left behind, forgotten about, and deserted. A lot of times people worked at a job, let's say they were 25, then 15 years later, they forgot that they had an IRA, they forgot they had a 401k at that job, and they got a bunch of money over there, and they just, again, it's just there doing nothing, not being managed. So if you all are in that lot, go back, retrack, and see if you've had accounts or if you've had jobs where you have 401ks, and make sure you got your 401ks. And if you didn't get them, go get them now. But in this bill, they're saying that they're going to create some kind of database to make it a more centralized thing for employers to list these plans, these 401k plans and pension plans, so people can go back and find them. And by the way, I'm saying 401k plan, right? That's also synonymous, and for this conversation, with 403b plan and 457 plan. 401k plan is usually for a for-profit company. 403b plan is normally for a non-profit company. A 457 plan is for a municipal agency, a city, government, township. These are the retirement plans for those organizations, right? So keep that in mind. But when I speak of 401k, I'm talking about all of those. But again, many people forget about these accounts. Some people I know that work for the city of Philadelphia forgot that they had a 457 plan, went and worked somewhere else and just left it there. I know a lot of people like that. Sometimes they have $20, $30, $40, $50, $120,000 in there, and it's just sitting unattended. So make sure y'all go back and get y'all money, y'all. Make sure y'all go back and get y'all money, and make sure you're putting it to work. So my thoughts on this. Sounds good. And I kind of gave away the Easter egg here, right? Sounds good, feels good, but this is only really going to help certain people. Now, again, there's an opportunity here for everybody to benefit from it. But the odd thing is, a lot of times people have access to 401k plans and they don't take advantage of them, right? They have to be forced to do it. And so I feel a lot of times the same thing is going to happen with this. People are going to have to be forced to do this in order to really to take advantage of a lot of these things, right? But hopefully, if you're watching the Finance Rebel Show, you are contributing to your 401k plan, 457 plan, 403b plan. You are contributing to traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, and just regular old, just straight up investment accounts. So you can create wealth for you, yourself, and your community. You, yourself, your family, and your community. So it's important that, we stay up to par on these things so we can take advantage of all these things. All right. So as I go through, I just want to talk about one last thing, and y'all know what that is. That is the affirmation of the day. So the affirmation of the day is, I will recognize that my prosperity is the result of my gratitude. Again, I will recognize that my prosperity is the result of my gratitude. I will recognize that my prosperity is the result of my gratitude. There's a lot of unhappy people around here. There's a lot of people who aren't thankful, right? They don't realize that they are blessed beyond measure. Listen, if you are listening to this broadcast, if you are within the sound of my voice, you're blessed. It could be a lot worse. And so you need to know that you're blessed, and you need to act accordingly. Again, a lot of times we find issue with everything around us, but we never take time to stop and smell the roses, as cliche as that is, right? If you can see a beautiful wonder of works, a divine wonder of works, That's a blessing. Everything is a blessing. Every day is a blessing, right? So make sure y'all proceed on with gratitude. Make sure you act accordingly and know that you have something to look forward to. All right. So today we covered the stock market rundown, right? The new upcoming retirement changes for 401ks and IRAs, and always the affirmation of the day. All right. So listen, I'm always humbled and thankful that you guys have joined me. Share your presence with me. Continue to be great. Always be loved and never stop seeking a light. Until the next time, do me a favor. If y'all appreciate these videos, do me a favor, like, comment, and share, and drop a review. Tell me something. Question of the day. Are you contributing to your 401k? Have a great one, y'all. See y'all soon. All right, that concludes